rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. As we usually, we should start in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we send the salutation, the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. For we thank him and praise him. And we say to you, welcome and coming and taking the time out of your day to listen to this important, very important topic that does touch us daily. Doesn't necessarily mean that you eventually, if you do give a Jum'ah khutbah, if you're put in a situation to do so, but this is for public speaking also. You will notice today, and you will hear all through the day, and they cross each other. My topic in my area is supposed to be how to deliver the khutbah. And then Brother Ahmed has another subject that's related, so they will all cross-relate today between, deliverance, how to deliver, effectiveness of the khutbah, how do you choose the khutbah, and this will be discussed by others. But my area today is going to be about how to deliver the speech. And the people of art of public speaking, it's really an art. It does study. And if we really look at the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, he is the best of speakers. If you look at the Prophet ﷺ and how he spoke, in which occasions, how did he speak, about the importance of the matter. Did he raise his voice? Was his voice low? Was he smiling? Was he serious? All these items, you will find that the Prophet ﷺ is the master of art of public speaking, how to engage the audience and you will hear a lot about that today. I just want to stay within my topic. First of all, there are methods, and there are 4 basic methods. There are others, but there are 4 basic methods in delivering a speech. And these methods are said, of course, by people of knowledge, people that have done it for a long time, and they even look at history. This is here what I got today is from books that people have looked at history, historians that delivered speeches and people that deliver in our present day. So the first one, there are 4 of them. The first one is reading from a manuscript. You have it jotted down, accurate, and you are just going to read from the manuscript. The second one will be and we'll discuss each one here just shortly, real quick. Reading from the manuscript is number 1. The second one is reciting from memory. You don't have nothing in your hands, and you are just going to recite from your memory and your memorization. The third one is speaking impromptu, meaning that you are just thrown in the situation, somebody comes to you, and you are going to speech delivered with little or no at all immediate preparation. And finally, and number 4 is speaking extemporaneously. And even myself having a hard time, extemporaneously, meaning that it's a carefully prepared speech, and you have practiced it and said it out loud, and you are going to come and prepared to give a speech. We'll go back to the beginning. That's 4. So the first one is the basic one, and it is a reading from a manuscript. And for somebody that starts, that's okay. That's okay to be reading. Prepared, it's accurate. For our own cause, that Muslims in delivering khutbah, your Quran is there. Your fatha and dhamma and all the nahu is correct. You have it. The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ is in there with correct pronunciation. So this is reading. And this is just like your speech class. You prepare something. For those of you that young, going to college now or going to go, or even school, you take speech class, you will prepare your speech. You have the time and you are going to read it. You're not going to give just from your memory. You are going to read exactly what's on there, so it's well prepared. The president's address, they read it. It's written for them, prepared ahead of time. Make sure all the language grammar is correct. All the vocabulary there is correct. For example, result of an experiment, scientific data. That's a speech. That's a well-prepared speech. So basically, you get the idea of this. It's a speech. It's a well-written, prepared khutbah with a beginning, an introduction, topic. The Quran verses are written. The hadith is there. You speak a little bit about content. Might give a story and where it came from, and then conclude. So it's a well-written paper and speech that you are going to deliver only by reading. Some do it well. Some do it well. It still requires skill to be able. Some ruin it. Some others ruin this because you become, from reading, monotonic. Just your one tone of voice, and it becomes boring. You lose your audience from reading, and it becomes mono. You just become a habit. The first minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, they're with you, then you lose them. So some people ruin it. If you are put into this situation where it's a prepared speech, you are going to deliver something, then you need to practice it. Once you have it written down, all correct, you need to practice it. You need to practice it loud by yourself in the shower or reading to the mirror. And people do that. We might think it's funny, but people really do that stuff. They practice it in certain places. They close the door or to the mirror speaking. That's how you just become better. And then when you practice it, so you're able to look at your audience. You're able to make eye contact every few languages because you practiced it. You're ready with it. The people that ruin it, you start becoming reading to your listeners instead of engaging the listeners. Instead of talking to them, you become reading to them. And that's something you want to avoid. You don't want to, in your speech class and you're reading, and you're reading them a story. You lose them. They're not going to retain much of the information that you have. So you need to be also practice it loud, and then eye contact you're able to do because you'll read and then look up at certain people and so on. So that's number one. That's the first method that is available there as delivering a speech. The second one is from memory, reciting from your own memory. And there are people that memorize the speech that they have. And it was done, and it is done. Up to till this day, there are people that memorize that paper speech. It is not necessary anymore in our own day and age. You have these and you have the tablets read on. The president no longer memorizes. They used to memorize to be able to be effective. Oh wow, he memorizes the whole speech. And they used to memorize their speeches. And people that deliver speeches, CEOs, they used to memorize them. Not anymore. Right now with the technology, it's right in front of them. The president reads, you think he's reading out of memory, but he's not. He's really reading off of a screen right in front of him. It's the same thing with CEO people. Now they see in their side of their eyeglasses that they have all these technologies, and he reads from his glasses anymore, and don't have to memorize any speeches. It's right there in front of them. They can read it line by line and look very effective. So this is another basic way. And I'm saying it's still doable. If you are a person that can do that, your technology is not there, you can memorize a short speech, word by word, letter by letter. I need to show you just some proof that people do. Young people memorize exactly what the singer sings for 5 minutes straight, and they'll repeat it letter by letter, word by word, with perfect memorization. So it's doable. When somebody wants to give a speech like that, reciting from memory, it really is doable. If you are first to do it, then you need to memorize it well. You don't need to be looking up in the sky and trying to remember what you memorized. You lose your audience again. He's not sure. You start making these noises trying to recover from your memory. If you are going to memorize, then we need to really memorize well, inshallah ta'ala. I can't move, right? I'm stuck here.
To the TV.
I can move? And go back and forth?
Just maybe 5.
It's okay. The third one was, we said there are 4 basic ways. The third one is speaking impromptu. Speaking impromptu meaning speech delivered with little or no preparation at all, no immediate preparation. Somebody come ask you, hey, the speaker is missing, or in your classroom, hey, the chief that was going to speak today, for example, the MC didn't show up today, somebody would have been put on the spot right away. Hey, we need you to MC today and speak and introduce the speakers. That happens all the time. You know what? Actually, we do this unknowingly every day. Every single day we do this kind of speech impromptu without knowing. For example, explaining why you are late. The boss comes to you and you need to explain why you are late. You're giving a quick speech, 2-3 lines of speech. Hey, this and this, and you're doing it without any preparation, but you have something to say, and you do say it. When I ask Mahmoud, where were you today? And then, but he lost it. And then he gives me, and he does it on the spot. Hey, I was there, I went there, and I got there. That's why I'm a little bit, and so on. So we do this unknowingly all the time, impromptu. It's called speaking impromptu. So you are giving something in speech. You're put on the spot. You're asked something. You're asked to give a 5-minute talk. You're asked to give a 10-minute talk without having to prepare anything. So. So like I said, we do this all the time in our daily. If you are put on the spot, do not panic. That is very important. Do not panic. Take a moment, breathe, and then again, this is probably will be discussed by people. How should you look today through the workshop? It will be discussed your posture, your looks. How should you look? Do you take deep breaths? Do you take? That means that's a sign of nervousness. That's a sign that you are not very comfortable at what you need to do at this moment. You can take breaths, but without the sigh. Just to yourself. Don't panic. Just calm down for a little bit. Make the best of it. Everybody knows when you're put on the spot, you're not going to give a perfect speech. They're not looking for a perfect speech. Actually, they are going to pardon you if there's any mistakes during what you're going to say, because they knew actually, and they appreciate you going up and speaking without any prior arrangements. Finally, and this is the best one that you want to fall in. This is the best way of delivering a speech, and especially a khutbah for somebody that is a successful become khatib. This is the fourth speaking engagement you should engage yourself in. And again, it's extemporaneously. Speaking extemporaneously. That means a carefully prepared and rehearsed speech that is presented from a brief set of notes. It's like I have today. I'm not reading, but it is a set of notes that I have and some points. So, but you have prepared it. You sat, you thought about it, you looked at your resources, you brought in what you need from information, you've set up an introduction, you've set up a middle content, you set up a conclusion. Then after that, you pick your topic, what's the name? And they say the best to pick your topic, make it out of 3 words maximum. And that will be the subject of your topic. Don't pick it in the beginning, pick it when you're done. And give it that, because then it'll be much easier for you to pick a small topic instead of lines of what you need to give. Like I said, this is the best method of someone to be a successful speaker. And today they will talk to you. I think Brother Michael Barton, he's the one that's responsible today for preparing a khutbah. How would you prepare for a khutbah? And he will talk extensively about how to prepare a khutbah. What do you do? And what to... So there are advantages. We said this is the best situation that you want. For a successful khatib, this is the area that you want. A well-prepared speech, a rehearsed speech and practiced, one with a topic, and then you deliver it with a brief set of notes. Advantages of this prepared speech. It is control over your thoughts and language, because you've thought about it, you practiced it, you prepared this one. So you control the thought, you control your language, you control your vocabulary. That's an advantage. There is another advantage which is you are able to adjust to the situation you are in. So it is spontaneous as well as direct. You already have your direct thoughts. You already know what your goal is of the speech that you want to give. You already know where you want to take your audience to which direction. As well that you can adjust. If somebody falling, for example, it is spontaneous. You thought about it. All prepared, but all of a sudden you have somebody falling asleep in your audience. Then you need to figure out, it's a spontaneous move that you are going to do on the, like they say, on the run. As you are running, but you have to take something spontaneous to wake up this person that you have. And then there are ways to do that, and I hope it is covered today. You can raise your voice, tone of voice. You can get away from your thoughts right away and say something that is going to be funny, that relates to the subject. So there are techniques and ways that you will wake up this people that have either fallen asleep or lost interest with you and everything. You bring them back, or call them even by name. In some instances, if it's not of course a khutbah Jum'ah or anything like that, and you know your audience, then you will call them out. Hey, how is this? And so on. So it gives you a spontaneous as well as direct advantage over your audience. it also adaptable to a wide range. And this is unique to Wichita, by the way, and probably a lot of other masajid within us that we have to khatib. We are very diverse. We are very, very diverse, and not everybody's interested in the topic that you want to address. So it is a challenge. In maybe that challenge will become very less to our children and our youth that are born here, because then they will share the same culture and not sharing the different cultures that we came from, especially some of the immigrants. You have somebody that came from Syria, somebody came like me from Palestine. Still we might share the same language, but it's different culture. We have some cultures that differ a little bit. Somebody from Afghanistan, somebody Pakistan, Bangladesh, Morocco in the case of Brother Ahmed, and so on. So it is very, very difficult. We have some brothers that sit from African Americans that are born here. Their culture is different than the white culture. Then we have Hispanics and Latinos, and then we have some others that from Somal, totally different. Some brothers from Sudan. It's a very diverse and very unique. So that's a challenge in itself to be able to speak to the people. So this kind of prepared khutbah and your thoughts, and you have prepared for what you need, you prepared for your audience, you know who you are going to address, then it is adaptable to a wide range. It is much easier to speak one common people. For example, people of da'wah, to give you an example, people that work in the da'wah line with Sheikh Hilali. When we go to speak to a church, we know who we're speaking to. We know in which line and conduct we need to conduct our speech to them. They're usually some in the churches, they're all white, dominantly white. They come from the same background. We know they're Catholics. So we were able to concentrate our talk and prepare real well. Successful khatib is able to figure out his settings and his people and his diversity that he's speaking to, and has to find a common well ground for all of them. And that is, it's really a challenge. But it is for somebody, this kind of speech, this last one we're talking about, will be the one to use with such setting. Like I said, and I spoke already just within the spoke, will encourage engaging audience. You know, this type of speech, it encourages engaging audience. And subhanAllah, in the khutbah, the two people next to each other can't speak to each other. It ruins your Jum'ah. It ruins your Jum'ah. Even saying, replying alaykum salam to someone, it ruins your Jum'ah. Because you are in a form of worship sitting in the khutbah of Jum'ah. You are in a form of worship exactly as if you are praying and you are within takbirat al-ihram with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jum'ah is the same thing. Even replying the salam, even smiling at someone that won't smile, you just don't want to, and you can explain to him afterwards why. So the point I want to make, but it says engaging your audience. Subhanallah, the khatib can engage the audience, and the audience can say something back to the khatib, but not to each other. So they're engaged in learning. So the khatib can ask a question, and you don't need everybody, and very few people will say back, but to engage them, to throw something at them and get them to be thinking, and with you can engage by a question, they can answer back to you. And this applies to any speech. Finally, another advantage in this is strong eye contact. And all of the previous three, you can't make eye contact with them. It's very difficult to be reading from a speech and go eye contact to your audience. It's very difficult. The same thing with memory, because you don't know, you're kind of trying to bring from your head all the memorization you're done, so you're kind of just going over in the room. And the same with the on the spot. But this one here, you're ready, your thoughts are here, there are bullet points that you're going to look at from prepared set of notes, so you're able to speak. And eye contact with every person in the room with you, including the Salatul Jum'ah, including the Jum'ah sometimes, and it will become a technique that you need to use. If you're talking about something that is derogatory and blaming within something from the verse of Quran, you don't need to make eye contact to one person, because that person then is going to feel you're talking about them, or you're blaming them. So you cannot just, in that sense. If you're talking something good and you're engaging your audience, then you look at person by person. You look at each one and you make strong eye contact. This is an advantage of this one here. Now, these are 4 basic methods, inshallah ta'ala, to deliver. Which way to deliver, or a method of deliverance of a khutbah or a speech or public speaking. Now, are you born to be able to deliver a speech and speak publicly and give a khutbah? Is that something that is born with you? Or is it something that you can acquire and gain and become better at? Let me tell you, all the great speakers in history, they were bad. When they started, the book says about them, they were bad speakers. They were not good speakers when they started. And I tell you that about myself from a personal experience myself too. I was not a very good speaker. And subhanAllah, now I get the chance to take to people like you that to tell them what I got and the experience that I had. We're not. And when I started reading from a manuscript. And probably Brother Ahmed can relate the same way, and other brothers that started. And I can tell, even with Brother Michael, you start reading. Because you're not comfortable addressing people. It's not a comfortable thing to talk to people. But as you get going, and you need to establish yourself and keep acquiring, and so on. So I'm going to give you a few tips. So the answer to that question is something you acquire, is something you work on. There is, said a person in the 1800s, he had in his tongue, the letter R, yeah, you know, they have a problem with pronouncing the R. There are several people, instead of R or Ra, yeah, they can't bring it out. And he, you know, spoke at one time, they made fun of him, you know, for what he was saying, and, you know, at a small setting. He stayed 1 month, closed the doors and said he wouldn't go out to the people. And he wouldn't speak to anyone. In 1 month, just practicing and saying, trying to get that R out, and practicing again. And they said sitting wooden things in place as if it was people he's speaking to. And kept working, and became one of the greatest speakers that they put in Arts of Public Speaking books. So it is something that you can enhance yourself if there's something that you want to get at. These people that now go train people about public speaking, they themselves say that they were not good public speaking or give speeches to people. They actually now write speeches for presidents and write speeches for CEOs and so on and stuff like that, and they teach them how to speak. I would like to give you, inshallah ta'ala, real quick, just a few points that will help you in deliverance of the khutbah. Number one is sincerity. That is number one, ikhlas to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no other way. If you're doing it for any other reason, you will ultimately fail. Now we're talking about as a khatib, that has to do with Muslims. Number one is being sincere to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this khutbah and what you are delivering. You're not delivering for anything else. And it's very hard to imagine that a khatib would deliver for his own purpose or for his own well-being, because you are delivering something that's going to be from the Quran or from the Sunnah or about a story of people that encourages others. So it's usually that. So number one is very sincere. Do not leave your khutbah short of goodness. لا تدعها مبتورة. Do not leave it short of goodness. What does that mean? That means you are starting, when you are preparing for your khutbah, and even when you start up there on the minbar, with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. According to the saying of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, كل عمل مبتور من الخير ما لم يذكر أو يذكر عليه اسم الله. Every action, every deed that is not mentioned and started with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is minus the goodness in it. خير مبتور من الخير مقطوع. As you take cut off a leg because diabetes, the same thing the Prophet ﷺ said, the goodness out of this action, if there is no Bismillah in it, started in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is no goodness in it. That's number two. Number three, don't leave it empty from Quran. And that is obvious to a khatib. Don't leave it empty from Quran. You are going to start with Quran, and you might even in the subject itself give some Quran. Do not leave it empty from Shahada. So people know what you stand for. When you tell Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, don't leave it empty from that. You have to declare yourself in what you believe in. Number five, the topic, as we said in the beginning, you give it. You give them the subject. What are you going to speak about? And earlier I said, to be an effective topic, you give the topic at the end after you prepare your speech. After you prepare your khutbah, you give it an item of 3 words. and sometimes one. And don't be original. And I will mention here in the end. Don't be just give it a name that's generic like all the other names. Be creative. If you want to be a successful khatib, be creative. What do I mean by that? And I like to mention because the brothers sometimes give you feedback. I think 2 years or 3 years ago in a khatara in the evening, and I think maybe in the early starts of the Syrian problem in Syria. And I went to the microphone and didn't say anything. But I hit the microphone 6-7 times in a row, loud. Tut, 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 tut. And of course, it got everybody's attention. And they're wondering what I was doing. This is not an act that anybody goes to the microphone and does. But I told them this is what the Syrian people hearing in this moment, just exactly like you heard it over the speakers. They are hearing rockets and they're hearing shots. So you need to be creative with what you do. If you want to be a successful person, successful khatib, then you be creative. You be creative with your topic. You be creative with your subject. Don't just imitate. Number 6, grab your audience. You have a very short window. Art of public speaking say you only have anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes to make sure that your audience is interested in what you are going to say. After that, you lose them. After that, you lose them. And that's why, subhanAllah, you keep adjusting. And exactly like the flyer said, we are going to draw experiences. So it is not into saying that this is what I'm doing is correct 100%, because you will find what fits you later as you become a speaker. We used to recite only in the beginning, or myself, only in Arabic. So the first 2 minutes, 3 minutes, by the time you give the verses in the Quran, it's all in Arabic. You are going to lose the audience that don't speak Arabic at all, although some of it is Quran. So now in between, after the Shahada, I say in English. And after the talking about the taqwa, I say it in English. Then now you're just grabbing the people and giving them, they're waiting for you now to give them the topic, instead of losing them in the beginning. And vice versa, if you only speak in English, or in masajid that only speak Urdu, but you have people that sitting there of English speaking that don't speak Urdu, and people that sitting of Arabic that don't speak Urdu, you will lose them. You will lose your audience. So you need to make sure you grab your audience, and you have a very short window in the beginning. First few sentences need to be memorized, even in a regular public speech. You need to memorize the introduction and the first few sentences, and you say it without paper. It gives you effectiveness. It gives your audience that are looking at you that, okay, he or she prepared well. He's going to be able to speak at what they want to speak about, and obviously knows what they're talking about. And it gives that sense to the audience when you memorize the first 2 or 3 sentences of your speech. And for us Muslims and the khatibs that wants to speak, definitely your initial one have to start and not looking and at you should memorize it, praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the shahada of course in Arabic, and also the verse of Quran of taqwa, and that initiates the taqwa to the people to start with. Number 8, I'm sorry, never mention. And he's sitting amongst us now, but I'll mention it from now. What helped me a lot is exactly what you are sitting in today. We had, and this brother remembers, Ahmed also and the Sheikh, we had in the 80s, late 80s, with Sheikh Hilali, a crash course of a week long in art of public speaking, a book of about 400 to 500 pages, I don't remember, but we had a week long. And he taught us, never say that you are not fit to speak. Even if you put on the spot, even if somebody, hey, please fill in your classmate, in your speech class, in taking over for the teacher. Never say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not really fit, they just threw me out here. You lose credibility right away. It becomes a negative connotation to the audience, and okay, whatever he's going to say is not worthy. Never say that, even if you're put on the spot. And some people do it out of humbleness, but this is not the place. This is not the place to be humble in the situation. Say, oh, I'm not fit, I'm not good to speak to you. This is not the situation to be humble. It is a situation to rise up to the moment. So never ever say that you are not fit to speak to you. I'm not the one that should be up here, I'm not worthy. This should come out of your vocabulary. And I mentioned already earlier, do not imitate. Do not imitate. Do not imitate others. You be creative. You do your thing. It is good to learn from experiences of others. It is good, but don't try to imitate somebody's voice to gain the others. You have your own voice. Your voice has its own, just like we have a fingerprint. Your voice has a print. It's definitely unique to you. Don't imitate others. Do your thing. You do your thing. It is good, again, to benefit from the experience of others, listening to others, how they do it, but we also need to be creative of what we do. Do not, again, imitate others in certain issues. We said about the voice. I want to say this another thing. Do not imitate what others wear. Do not imitate what others do, their hairdos. Say, oh, I'm going to do my hairdo, because you do your own. If you want to do something with it, you do your own. You want to speak somehow, don't imitate the other to speak in their fashion. You speak on your own fashion and your own thing. These are 10 that just grabbed, and I'm going to end with these 5 right here. These are from me personally and from my experiences. Know your setting. If we learned from our scholar Sheikh Muhammad, is fiqh al-waqi'. He taught us so many items, so many places, so many across the years. Fiqh al-waqi', knowing your surrounding, knowing who are you dealing with, knowing the people that are coming to you, knowing their problems, knowing their situations. You need to understand and what the people are going through. So know your setting, know where you are at, know what are you giving. For the khatib, he's in the Jum'ah, it's in the masjid, it has certain respect, it has certain fiqh to it, and they're going to talk about that today. Fiqh al-Jum'ah, fiqh al-Salah, it will be discussed inshallah ta'ala with others. But you need to know your setting. Number 2, and I also mentioned this briefly, know your audience. You have to know who you're speaking to. And again, this is unique to the Muslims, especially maybe even the city of Wichita. Very diverse, all across the board. We said earlier, Yemeni, Suri, Bangladeshi, Pakistani, Venezuelan, Indonesian, Palestinian, African Americans, white Americans, Hispanics. You are talking to everybody across the board, and there is no way that they all share the same thing. But you have to know them, who they are, what they stand for, their kind of living, and find a common goal. That's it. Where does this become easy? Because we are Muslims. So you are able to talk about the topic from the Quran, and then everybody has that common goal. But not everybody is going to have a common culture that you're going to speak about one item to solve. That is very difficult. The know your topic items. You have to know your topic. You have to know what you're talking about. You can't talk about, for example, sincerity, ikhlas, been talked about so many times, and then bring a story about justice, for example. You can't. You have to know what you're talking about. You have to know what you are delivering. So know your topic items as an item. You have to be, this is very crucial. This point to me and from experience is really crucial. You have to practice what you preach. Otherwise, you don't have any credibility to talk to the people about it. You can't tell people don't smoke, but you smoke. You can't tell the people don't go to the hookah, but they see you in hookah. That can't happen. No credibility at all. Or any, for that matter, any topic, anything at all. Don't steal, but somebody runs a business, they're cheating, but tell the people don't cheat. And they know about you and your business that you might not be fair in what you're dealing. Then it will not have credibility. So you have to be a believer of what you preach and you practice it. The 5th one and the last one, and this one is, the last 2 are very, very critical in becoming effective with your audience, is you are passionate about what you are talking about. You are living the story. When you're telling the story, it's actually if it's you. If you are talking about an ayah of Jannah, then you are sweet and you are soft and you are becoming layyin and easy in your tone even, and you start bringing it down and you're talking about Jannah because it's something nice to the people. Then if you talk about the nar and Jahannam and punishment, you raise up the voice so people feel that. You have to be passionate about what you're saying and live in it yourself. You have to live it as if what you are saying, you're saying to yourself. the story that they have, you are saying it to yourself and you are living it. Jazakallah khair. I will end with this. This is all I have for you today. I appreciate you. If anybody has any questions, open. Otherwise, I will sit and take my seat back in the audience. خلاص؟ جزاكم الله خير. Thank you very much for listening. Appreciate it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.